Alright, we're going to go, no quibbling here, go as fast as we can through these applications on the calculator for Civil Tech. Obviously you turn the thing on, it's on, you check the mode right away. This mode is remembering, and as a rule probably a good idea in the short term just to set it to 1 and realize it does something different. Second, quit. We're going to go through the program. We're going to go through now the menu U calculator first and point out where in fact vector here, as it runs originally, it's going to ask you for each of the inputs, though very often you're going to want to have pre-staged the vectors in list U and list V. Same thing with coordinate convert. Very often this will output your convert to list V1, which you can then throw into list U or list V. So you got to learn how to really go through and use another set of programs to use this to the best advantage. But I'm going to go through, show you the vector calculator first, realizing it does a lot more than I'm showing you. It actually will add up all of your first vectors and all of your multiplication vectors. So as you're adding forces and moments, this program will actually do it. So I'm going to hit enter there. If you're keeping a running tab, you would not clear the sum, but generally for now we are not keeping a running tab. And generally for now we are not going to skip the input. You would skip the input if you had preloaded into list U and list V the two vectors you wanted to multiply, whether they be a radius times a velocity or more likely a radius times or a distance and a force. So we're going to not skip the input, hit 2 here, and then it gives us a choice whether we're going to want to put things in polar or rectangular. Remember, the first thing you do is check your mode and or make sure that the tangent of 45 degrees is 1. In this case, we're going to put them in rectangular, let's say. And rectangular is going to be a change in x on the first vector, change in y on the first vector, and change in z perhaps on the first vector, change in x on the second vector, change in y on the second vector, and in this case we're going up more or less, pulling straight up if you would consider the second vector being a force. You enter through a few things here, and what you get when you're done is in list W, second list. In list W you get the cross product vector. Now, you'll see quite often you're going to want to take that cross product vector and then plug it in someplace else. So you're going to need to get kind of used to doing this, second list, list W, and maybe store it into second list, list U. So right now you've taken what was in list U and W and put it in list U, and maybe you want to now go into stat here and see if you can edit your vectors, and you might see U is put in there. You might want to put the down vector, the gravity vector of -1 in here. So now what you're going to do is you're going to be multiplying this vector by that vector, hit a second, quit, which means this time when you go into program, menu U, you're actually going to skip the input. So we're going to do the multiplication again. We can clear the sum. You're going to do that more often than not right now. And now we're going to skip the input because we have the U and the V vectors preloaded. And you see right here that in fact if we go to stat here and look in edit, that we've got that cross product vector multiplied out. And you can see how these things start to kind of play with each other, kind of visually at least. So that's how we're going to be using that a lot. Now that then takes us to this other set of programs. I'll hit second, quit here, that are in the menu 2 program. And so we're going to go to program, menu 2, and these are going to be kind of these programs mostly that help you to edit. So for instance here, right now we can change our points toggle. I'll show you how that works. Points edit toggle. So we're going to, now if we want to go, and so we see LU UVW in the front, as we just did, we hit that one. If we want to see L1, 2, and 3, we hit number 2. So I hit number 2 here. That doesn't do much. All that means when we go into Stat and Edit, you see L1, 2, and 3, and the rest of them can still be there, right? They're still there. Second quit, or you can go to Program, Menu 2, and Points Toggle Edit. Points Edit Toggle, and we can go click number 1 here, and now if we go to Stat Edit, we see it U, V, and W. Now that's one that you're going to really want to, as you get really used to using lists, want to add more options to, so you can kind of pre-stage what you're going to do, because this is really a nice way to go ahead and put in vectors here. So that's one of those. We're going to hit second quit here, and we're going to go to finally a really important one for those of you who have a hard time coming up with a unit vector. You know, you can stick your unit vector in vector W. There's Peanut again. You can stick your vector in vector W, and hold on, I'm going to pause here and get the dog. All right, dog, stop barking. All right, you can go here to Program, Menu 2, and make W a unit vector. So what that's going to do is going to take W and divide it by its magnitude. Remember that the magnitude of a vector is the square root of the sum of x squared plus y squared plus z squared. So we can make W a unit vector, hit enter there, it does it, and you see that's the unit vector. And if you go back here to Stat, Edit, it made that a unit vector. And unit vector is going to be incredibly huge. You might go back and replug this unit vector, go from a rectangular to a polar, and that will give you the direction of that vector, so you can kind of think about it. This is going back and forth between the polar and the rectangular worlds. The rectangular IJK XYZ world makes more sense mathematically. It's what you've been doing through survey for 3 semesters, through a lot of mathematics. But in all reality, we as humans, or we as a ship, if you call each of us our own ship, we think more about what's in front of us, behind us, left and right of us, and how far away from us it is. So that really polar world is a little bit more innate, I guess I would say. And when we're going into engineering and trying to anthropomorphize things, we want to kind of think about how we would feel as this structure or as this ball, and it makes a lot more sense in polar coordinates. All right, so the last one that we have here in the Menu 2, I'm going to turn this back on, second quit in the Program Menu 2, right, go back to there, is the line L points to vector. And what that's going to do is actually it's going to take list 1, list 2, and list 3 and make 2 linear vectors out of them and put them into vectors U and V, I think. So we're going to try to do that here. And so we can do that by first Points Edit Toggle and go to 2, which makes us possible for us to go to Stat and Edit and put vector. I'm going to put 0, 0, 0 being my first point, X, Y, and Z, if we think about how we're dealing with lists. And for our second point, I'll put 2 in the X, 0 in the Y, and 0 in the Z. Make that a 0 like I said. 0 in the Y and 0 in the Z. And my last one, I'll put 0 in the X, 1 in the Y, and 0 in the Z. And if you want to graph those out on a sheet of paper, this will make a bunch of vectors, actually 3 vectors, the L1 to L2 vector, the L1 to L3 vector, and also the L2 to L3 vector. So knowing that essentially a vector, a linear vector, is just a change in between 2 position vectors of points, gets you to this point where you can see kind of the obvious uses of this. I'm going to hit second quit here now, go to Program, Menu 2, and what Menu 2 does is we can take L points to vector, and what it's going to do, are they asking you that question, are they there? Yes, they are. And it tells you that it put them in LU and LV. If we go to programs, we don't even need to do that. Just going to press enter there. We can hit second. I'm going to hit clear, second quit, second quit. I'm going to go to program here. Sorry, second quit. I'm just going to go to stat, edit, and then look where in fact it's going to put that U and V vector. So we'll hope that saves. We'll try to edit this out and hope it loads. That's about all the program. See ya, bye.